Hello everybody, welcome to the channel. Today's video is going to be the first of a multi-part series where I try to prove God's existence using logic. In this episode, we'll focus on proving 3 points. The first is that the universe has an uncaused cause. The second is that there exists an omnipotent being. And the third is that there exists an omniscient being, which is the same as the omnipotent being. So let's get into the first point. An uncaused cause. This is proven by St. Thomas Aquinas in his Summa Theologica, specifically the first way. Now, before reading Aquinas, one must be acquainted with certain Aristotelian terms. And important to the first way specifically are actuality and potentiality. So actuality is the way that a thing, someone or something, is actually. It's pretty self-explanatory, actuality. Now, potentiality is the way that something is not, but it could be. And then motion here is used to mean something more similar to change rather than locomotion, rather than motion in the dimension of space. And here it just means basically change or reduction from potentiality to actuality. So the first way is found in Summa Theologica, Part 1, Question 2, Article 3, and it goes as such. It is certain and evident to our senses that something in the world are in motion. Now whatever is in motion is put in motion by another, for nothing can be in motion except it is in potentiality to that towards which it is in motion, whereas a thing moves inasmuch as it is in act. For motion is nothing else than the reduction of a thing from potentiality to actuality. But nothing can be reduced from potentiality to actuality except by something in a state of actuality. Thus fire, actually hot, makes wood, potentially hot, to be actually hot, and thereby moves and changes it. Now it is not possible that the same thing should be at once in actuality and potentiality in the same respect, but only in different respects. For what is actually hot cannot simultaneously be potentially hot, but it is simultaneously potentially cold. It is therefore impossible that in the same respect and in the same way a thing should be both mover and moved, that it should move itself. Therefore, whatever is in motion must be put in motion by another. If that by which it is put in motion be itself put in motion, then this also must needs be put in motion by another, and that by another again. But this cannot go to infinity, because that would mean that there would be no first mover, and consequently no other mover, seeing that subsequent movers move only inasmuch as they are put in motion by the first mover, as the staff moves only because it is put in motion by the hand. Therefore, it is necessary to arrive at a first mover, put in motion by no other, and this everyone understands to be God. Now, many would argue that Aquinas' first way only proves an uncaused cause for everything, and not necessarily proves God. But the other 4 of his 5 ways prove other attributes of God, and what he proves in his first way is exactly what we're looking for. At least right now, an uncaused cause. Time to move on to the second point, an omnipotent being. In his work Proslogion, St. Anselm uses the very idea of God as proof for his existence. Having defined God as that than which no greater can be conceived, he then argues that that than which no greater can be conceived must exist in reality as well, not just in the intellect. If it were not to exist, one could conceive something just the same but that exists, making it greater than the greatest thing conceivable, which would be a contradiction. Therefore, there exists a greatest thing conceivable, even in reality. From St. Anselm's argument, we can deduce that an omnipotent being exists because the greatest thing conceivable must be omnipotent and the greatest thing conceivable must exist. The third point, an omniscient being. Through the same logic, we can also deduce that the greatest thing conceivable is omniscient as well as omnipotent. As if it were not one of those, then there would be a conceivable thing that is the same as this thing, but with more power, more knowledge, making it greater, which would be a contradiction. The questions of whether this being is omnibenevolent, whether it is omnipresent, whether it is the aforementioned uncaused cause, and more will be answered in further episodes. Deus vobiscum.